Alright guys, so wanted to do a video about firming up appointments. Two types of appointments you need to firm up. Obviously your original appointment, when you get the appointment. I know we talked about this a little bit in the interview, in the training, but I'm going to give you 4 points to firming up a lot better. And then also we want to talk about firming up the actual appointment that you get, that you actually work for, the actual audit and the solar consult. All right, so there's no point in doing all this work, getting yourself on the phone, making the phone calls, dealing with the no's, dealing with the people not home, and then going through all that, and then finally getting the appointment and not firming it up. So therefore, then you have then you have an appointment that doesn't show. And then the same thing when you're setting up the audit. You went through all this work, you did a presentation, you set the whole thing up, and you're time for payday, and you don't firm up that appointment either, and it ends up they end up forgetting, or they end up not answering the call when we call to confirm it for the day before, and now you have to try to call them back, and you don't want to call them back. You're like, oh, I don't know, did they miss it on purpose? And you're losing money. You wasted all your time. You're really throwing money out the door. So let's talk about. So definitely take out a pen and paper, write these things down. This firming up your appointment, your first appointment. I'm talking about the actual phone call appointment. The reason why people forget, and I probably told you this in training, or you learned this in training, but again, we need to hear things multiple times in order for them to sink in. The first thing is, you can't hang up the phone too fast. Like when you get someone to finally say yes, and they say yes to the appointment, and you're going to set up, what happens is a lot of reps, they're so excited to get the appointment that they're like, okay, Mrs. Jones. So, Mr. Jones, so would you like to go? So, can I come by, tomorrow at 6, or would 7:30 be better for you? Obviously, you're asking for 2 times, and they say 7:30 sounds good. And a rep's like, oh, yes. They said yes. Okay, I'm gonna put you down for 7:30. Okay, and the customer's like, all right, and they're like, all right, bye. And then they get the address. What's your address? Oh, it's this street. Okay, I'll see you. Thank you. Bye. That doesn't work, all right? Because then what happens is that person hangs up the phone, and they're like, what did I just do? Why did I just say yes to that? And then what they do is they find reasons not to be there, because they don't know what it is they're actually doing, and they don't really know why they said yes, and so therefore they just conveniently forget, or something turns up, and they try to find a reason not to get out of the appointment, just because you didn't firm it up properly. So here are the 4 steps to firming up. All right, write these down. So the first thing is, when you get the appointment, when the person says yes, the first thing is you want to put them in a schedule. All right, so I literally will say, okay, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to put you in my schedule. Like, you have to say this to her. All right, I'm going to put you in my schedule. Should I put you in pen or pencil? All right, so that is, write pen or pencil down as part of number 1. All right, so Mrs. Jones, should I put you in pen or pencil? If they say pen, okay, you say great. So this is a definite appointment. All right. Now, if they say, oh, just pencil me in. See, right there, now they're telling you, I'm not sure that I'm going to do this. They're right there. They're telling you that. So don't wait for them to cancel on you. Right there, handle the situation. And go, Mrs. Jones, ooh, pencil? I would go, ooh, Mrs. Jones, pencil? Is this not a time that you definitely can do? And I go, because I need to do, 6 appointments that day, and I don't want to put you in for a time that you can't do, because I'm not going to put somebody else in that time as I set up my appointments. And so if you can't do this time, the last thing, I don't want to mess up your schedule. Is this a bad time, or what's the deal? And they'll say, oh, well, we get home from work around that time. Sometimes we eat dinner, we don't know. I don't know if my husband's going to be there at that time. All right. So you just say, okay, well, Mrs. Jones, let's put you in for a different time where you can do it, as opposed to me, penciling you in. Okay. So you handle that right there. That pen or pencil lets you know if they're serious about doing the appointment or whatnot. Remember, when you called them, they just picked up the phone. They didn't have a calendar in front of them. They weren't expecting you to call, and they don't. Sometimes they're just like, they give you a time. They want to help you, but they say yes, but they don't know. So that's the first thing. Put them in a schedule. All right. Next thing is you give them a number. All right. So excuse me. Well, that's number 3. But number 2 is you spell their name out loud. All right, so it's like Mrs. Jones. It's okay, great. Let me put you down here. So Mrs. M-R-S-J-O-N-E-S, and what is your address? 14 Maple. All right, 14 Maple, M-A-P-L-E. Okay, and Lane, and that's where? Wisconsin. N-E-S. How do you spell Wisconsin, Mrs. Jones? Oh, N-E-S-C-O-N-S-E-T. Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. So what this does is it makes them visualize you putting this in a planner. All right. If you closed your eyes right now and rewound the tape and listened to me spell the name out, you would visualize me writing it down. I'm not driving a car. All right. So point being is, you would actually, you want them to get the visualization of you putting them into a schedule. All right. So the next thing, step number 3 is, and I told you already, but is to give them a number. So Mrs. Jones, I need to do 6 appointments on Saturday. You're number 2. Thank you so much. All right. So it doesn't matter what the number is. I need to do 2 appointments. You're number 2. I need to do 5 appointments. You're number 1. All right. So what that does is sometimes customers think that they are the only appointment that you are ever going to do. And they think that they can just reschedule you, move you around, and that you're not busy. And so if you seem like you're busy and you got a lot of things going on, then they'll squeeze you into the schedule. All right. If they feel like, if you're like, oh, thanks a lot, Miss Jones, and then they're like, well, can we move this to another time? And you're like, sure. And then you just keep moving things around, and it seems like you're always free. Then they're just going to keep putting you off forever because they can, because you're always free. So you need to let them know, I need to do this many appointments by this time. You can always use the manager. Mrs. Jones, thank you so much, because I need to do 5 appointments this Friday, or my manager's going to kill me. So I really appreciate it. You're my second one. I only need 3 more. All right. So this also lays the groundwork for recommendations. And sometimes if you do that, they'll say, you know what? Well, hey, if they're a recommendation and they know that Mary, their friend who recommended them, had a good experience with solar, and they know somebody else who wants solar, they might even tell you, oh, you know what? I have somebody you can call right now. So point being is give them a number. And then step number 4 is you make them feel like $1 million. All right. You thank them profusely. All right. So when they hang up the phone, they feel good. So I used to do always the same thing. I would say, Mrs. Jones, by the way, thank you for seeing me. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to see me on Friday. I know this appointment doesn't mean anything to you, but it means the world to me. And I'm working really hard. When I was a rep, I used to say this, I'm really working hard so I can buy my first car, and I'm also, I have a scholarship. I go to Rutgers University. I have a scholarship that pays for my tuition but doesn't pay for my books, and I would like to pay for my own books. I don't want to borrow money from my parents for my books. So I really appreciate it. I'm gonna have a ball with you. I promise you I will not be boring. I promise you you'll enjoy it, and I can't wait to see you, or can't wait to meet you on Friday at 6 o'clock. And I throw the time in there again to remind them. All right, that's how I would end it. So basically I would tell them, that it means the world. It doesn't mean the world to you, but it means the world to me. I would explain why. I'd share my goal. And then they hang up the phone and they feel good. They're like, wow, I did something. I want to help somebody. All right. Why do people do things for other people? Why do people say yes in the first place? Because they want to help you. So make them feel good about that. Why do you hold the door open when somebody's walking behind you? Because it makes you feel good for a second when they say, thank you. Oh, thanks for holding the door. Or if you see someone walking across the street and you wave them on, Or if somebody asks you to, hey, can you help me move, or can you help me do this, or I need some help with something. Why do you do it? You do it because you want to feel good. It makes you feel good. It's the same thing with the customer. If they feel good, then they'll want to help you more. They'll want to be there, as opposed to looking for reasons not to be there. They'll look for reasons to be there. And instead of looking for reasons not to give you recommendations, they'll look for reasons to give you recommendations. So your goals, having a strong goal, having a passion. One of my reps was talking about, Devin was talking about how he wants to go to Italy, to visit his girlfriend. I'm like, that's awesome. You got to share that with people, all right? You got to have something that you're shooting for, that you're working for. It made me want to work harder for him so he can hit that goal. That's how it works, all right? We're people, all right? So have those goals, make people feel like $1 million, thank people profusely for when they do things for you, and make them feel good, and then they will want to help you more, all right? All right, so moving along to firming up your appointments once you set up the appointments. Pretty much the same concept, all right? When you actually go through the whole thing, you get the audit set up, or the solar consult set up, you want to tell them, Mrs. Jones, so we're setting up the audit. Let me write it down. Make sure they write it down. Ms. Jones, do you put things in a calendar somewhere? Do you have a calendar that you write things in? Most people do. So if they just like, oh yeah, put me down for Tuesday at 5, and they don't write it down anywhere, I'm pretty sure they're going to forget it. So I just asked them, oh, Ms. Jones, do you put things on? Do you have a calendar that you use or something like that? Oh yeah, well, great. Okay, so just want to write it down. Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And what I want you to know, and remember, Green Home Solutions, they confirm the day before. If they can't confirm, then they're not going to send the person, all right? So you got to let people know this. A lot of people don't check their answering machines, and you got to tell them, Mrs. Jones, so just so you know, we have you Tuesday at 5 o'clock. The auditing company, there's a lot of people, this New York State program, it's a free program. So what happens is when things are free, people usually don't, they don't care for it as much. If you were paying $200, $250 for the audit company to come, you would probably be here. But since it's, no matter what, everyone would be there. But because it's paid for by the state, most people, they're like, oh, I could do it anytime because it's free. But the thing is the company, everybody thinks that way, Mrs. Jones. So the company, if they can't confirm you, they're not going to send the guy out. They're not going to have him waste his gas. He pays for his own gas. He's doing his own thing. So he has credentials and everything. But the point being is they're not going to send someone on a long drive to your house if they can't confirm that you're actually going to be there. So they're going to call the day before to confirm, all right? If you get a weird phone number that calls you, on the day before, pick it up, or they'll leave a message, and so if you could check your messages the day before as well. If you get a voicemail, you check your voicemail, because if you don't call them back, then they're not going to send somebody. They're not going to send someone else to do the audit. Is that okay? And they'll say, yeah, all right. So you give them that heads up that that's going to happen. By the way, what I would do if I was a rep is I would actually take their phone number, and the day before, since we call to confirm, is I would send them a text message saying, hey, Mrs. Jones, it's Matt Washington. Just wanted to let you know they're going to be calling you today to confirm your appointment tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And so that way they can either text you back or they'll get back to you. Now, by the way, if they get back to you and they're good to go, you can always call the scheduling department and tell them, or call me and tell us that hey, you talked to the customer, you confirm them, they're good to go. So we just need a confirmation, because I don't want to send the guys out there without a confirmation. All right. So, but if you let the customer know that it's important, that's obviously they're going to. If they write it down, it really helps out. All right. So that's what I would do for the audit. For the solar consult, we don't call and confirm the day before for the solar consult. Well, actually, we do, but some of them don't. So the point being is, again, make sure they write it down. Explain to them the benefits of getting the information. Mrs. Jones, this is really great information you're going to get. Again, there's no obligation. They're not going to try to force you to do anything that you don't want to do. They're just going to explain everything to you and show you how you can save money. And most people do go forward with it because of the fact that, it just makes sense when they do it. But yeah, it's just important that you write it down. They'll probably call you the day before to confirm. Okay, so, and then you can also, again, it's your money. It's for a text message, for you to send a text message the day before, just telling the customer, hey, by the way, just want to remind you, you have, the solar consult's going to be tomorrow at blank time, whatever. So you take control of your business, all right? You put all this work into it. You made the phone calls, you drove out there, you set up the appointment, you got the act, you did the presentation, you got the audit. Finish it off. Make sure you take control, and send a text message, send a quick call the day before to firm up your appointment. Okay, firm up those appointments that are set up. It's pretty simple. So, any questions? Let me know. But hopefully this helped as far as making sure your appointments stay firm.